All right, we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest, Josh Horn from Social Security. The number on the screen is 737-7587. If you have questions for the man in the sweater, and he's a smart guy because it is cold out there, give us a ring. We'll see if we can help you. We've got Linda waited through the break. Hi, Linda. Good morning, Linda.
Yes, I'm calling for my husband. He retired at 62, and he went back to work, and he's 82 now, and he's thinking about quitting. And we went back in August to see if he could draw the extended Social Security after he gets older, but we have not heard from him yet. We went twice after that. And how long does it take to hear from him?
Well, did he start drawing benefits at age 62?
Yes, he did.
So once you start drawing benefits at age 62, I mean, there's no more. You've already taken that early reduction. So if you're talking about the delayed retirement credits, to where your benefits continue to grow up until as late as age 70, well, that doesn't really apply if you start your benefit at age 60. Now, in your husband's situation, what we want to do is take a look and see if whatever he's been earning over the last several years could increase his benefit amount, because any type of work that you do, no matter what age you are and at what point, we take the highest 35 years of earnings, no matter when it is, and we'll put that into the equation to see how much the benefit amount might be. And so some of those earnings may have knocked out some lower years from what we calculated earlier on. And a lot of times we do that automatically, but occasionally it takes a few years to catch up. So that may be something you want to call and just say, hey, I've been working the last several years, and I want to see if my benefit amount could go up based on those work earnings.
Well, we went back after we went and talked to him whenever he checked on it, and they told him he could draw, but we've never heard from him, and they said that we should hear from it,
Well, I want to be clear. So he took early retirement at 62,
right,
and then he went back to work, but he continued to draw his early retirement, right? He kept getting his checks.
Right.
So what are you asking you want to get beyond that? I don't get it. If you've been getting the checks, you're still getting it, right? So what?
But we was checking to see if he would get the later, because he made more in the later years than he did the first years of his working.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's exactly what he addressed. So I guess she went in, and how long does it take for them to calculate it to get back and say, okay, yeah, you worked a couple years here that bumped your lowest earning years. Let's,
Yeah.
How long does that take?
Well, it's pretty much immediately. I mean, to be honest, I mean, my recommendation would be to call back and say, hey, I called about this earlier, but I never got confirmation. I want to do a recalculation to see if my benefits will go up based on my recent work earnings. And what they should do is run the computation and send you a letter that says, no, it didn't make a difference, or hey, here's your new benefit amount. And if that letter didn't get mailed or something along those lines, that may be what you're dealing with there. But just let the person know, if you can't tell me today, I really need a letter to let me know. If one way or the other.
And if he's been working for several years, I mean, they could have been recalculating it over time as he goes along. And
normally they do that. Sometimes they might get a year or two behind, and so and there might be some other reasons why they're behind, and so it's never hurts.
Sometimes they may do that on their own as they see what it is, and I would think, unless you're making radically a lot more, you in general are not going to see a huge increase in your check. I think you may be entitled to more, but I'm guessing it's a matter of maybe, I don't know, I mean, $100 more maybe if you're lucky. I mean, I just don't see
probably not even that much.
Yeah, not even that much, because unless you're making a ton more out of the blue.
And that's the thing. The reality is that if you worked full-time for 45 years and then you retire and then you go back part-time, well, that part-time work is not going to knock out any of those full-time years.
It's how much you earn that whole year.
If you're somebody that really kind of struggled, especially early on in the career, and maybe you only have about 20 years of significant earnings, and then you've actually got some pretty good earnings after retirement, well, okay, in that situation, yeah, you might actually, because again, we take your whole lifetime of earnings, every dollar that you've made, we bring it up to today's standards, that's called indexing, and so we bring it up to today's numbers, and we look at the highest 35 years, no matter if that's early, late, anytime, in there, and so that's kind of how that
I'm getting to the point now where I think I'm going to start knocking off some of my lower paying years. I've been working now approaching 35 years, and some of us paychecks I got when I got my first job. They're figured in there, but now I'm certainly making more than I did when I first started. And so hopefully my salary this year will just bump that little one off, and we'll move things down and make more. Anyway, that's a good question, ma'am. And I would follow up with them. I think it's possible they've been getting incremental small increases over this time, but such small that they didn't notice it. But if they say the checks have been the same all along, you definitely should check it out. Just give them a call back. Sometimes you gotta just, you know, reach out and touch bases again. Let's go next to Clint. Hi, Clint. How can we help you?
Okay, started drawing disability a little over a year ago, and when they awarded me the disability, they gave me TeamCare with it and Medicare. Well, I moved to Texas, and I done the right thing. I told Tennessee I was in Texas. Now I've come back, and I can't get TeamCare back to cover what Medicare don't cover, and I'm not understanding why. They're saying that because I draw over $1,200 a month is the reason I can't get TeamCare back. I can't get Marketplace insurance because they tell me that I can't get it because I'm not going to file income tax, and I'm not understanding what that's got to do with anything.
When did you move to Texas?
I flew out April 1st.
Oh, so you were just out there for a little while?
I came back in this past November.
Okay.
Oh, it's not even a full year.
No.
Okay.
So there's a couple of things I think that's at play when you talk about TennCare, and of course I'm not from TennCare, but what we have to do with TennCare is with the SSI. Anybody who's drawing SSI is eligible for TennCare automatically. And what happens a lot of times when we start your benefits, Social Security has a 5-month waiting period. And so sometimes what will happen is you actually might draw SSI for those 5 months, and then when the Social Security kicks in your case sounds like it's $1,200, well, it will stop your SSI benefit because that's too much money for the SSI program. So for those 5 months, because you're drawing SSI, you're actually eligible for TennCare. But then once your Social Security starts in, you're not going to be eligible for TennCare anymore. You're not going to be automatically eligible for TennCare. You're eligible for SSI. You won't, and so you're eligible for TennCare. But then once your Social Security starts in, you're no longer automatically eligible for TennCare. You have to contact TennCare directly, and then it's up to their rules. Because if you got $1,200 coming in, they may say that's too much for the TennCare rules. I don't really know. I don't know if that happened just around the time that you transitioned to Texas, and that's coincidental. I don't have your record, so I'm not exactly sure. But I know that's one common thing that we see with folks who say, "Well, I was drawing TennCare for a little bit. What happened?" Well, what happened is their Social Security kicked in after that 5-month waiting period, and it knocked them off of TennCare, and they need to apply directly to see if TennCare will allow them under some of their other programs besides SSI.
So he needs to get with TennCare. He needs to at least see that.
He needs to call TennCare and talk to them.
All right. At least you maybe pointed him in the right direction. That can be complex. I understand your situation, Clint. That's tough. That's why some people are so skittish about trying to do anything. I mean, he just leaves for a short while, and now he's got this headache. Now, it may have been a good reason for him to go there, but now he's probably regretting it. You know, it's like, and that shouldn't be that way. I mean, he comes back, it should still be the same, I would think. Let's go next to, I think we have Levon. Hi, Levon. Hi, Levon.
Yes.
How can we help you, ma'am?
Well, my son is disabled, and he gets SSI.
Okay.
He's an adult. On the property thing, can he own a house?
Yes. So the primary residence or the house, that's excluded. And so the only time that we account other property is if there was other property. Now, if he sells the house and a bunch of money gets deposited in his bank account, you know, sometimes that can play a factor. But just the fact that you own a house, we exclude the house, we exclude the first vehicle, and then we count any other property as any other vehicles towards that resource limit.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's a good question, ma'am.
Yep.
Absolutely, a very good question. Let's see, we'll go next to Joseph. Hi, Joseph. Are you there, Joe? Joseph?
Yeah.
Hey, Joseph, what can we do for you, buddy?
Well, 2 years ago, my wife passed away, and I had to wait a year because I wasn't 60 yet to draw the death benefits. I've been drawing the death benefits for a year now. they send me the W-2 to fill out the taxes with. Is there a certain amount that I have to make before I file the taxes, or because I'm drawing death benefits, am I excluded from paying taxes?
So you need to, as far as whether you have to file taxes at all, you really need to talk to the IRS or a tax professional, because I'm not sure on what the minimum limits are for how much you made and things like that. But I will say that if your adjusted gross income, if you're filing single, if your adjusted gross income is above $25,000, then you'll probably have to pay some taxes. I think you'll have to pay taxes on 50% of your Social Security. Again, those kind of goes back to IRS rules. But if your adjusted gross income is over $25,000, you should expect to pay at least a little bit of taxes on your Social Security.
And that income could be jobs that he's holding, or could it be investment money?
Yeah, anything that's taxable. So if there's investments that are coming in that are taxable, if there's if you have a side job.
So if it's money from a Roth, it would not be included.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had just one more question.
Yeah.
So since I started collecting it, was there an age limit where it's supposed to go up, or the amount that I get, or does it stay the same?
So when you draw at age 60, it's kind of like drawing early retirement. It is a permanent reduction, and so because you could wait until age 66 to draw, and then it would be the full widower's benefit. But because you drew it early, which is fine, it's early widow's benefits, but there is a permanent reduction. The only way it'll go up is if there's the annual cost of living adjustments.
Oh, okay.
Now you now you're drawing widows. Would you ever draw on your own Social Security?
No, mine. For many years, I didn't work. I haven't worked in the past 8 years, and I raised my kids for 10 years, and my wife was the breadwinner. So,
Gotcha.
When she retired from Nationwide Insurance, she was a full retirement, and so I didn't really work that much. I was the stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, I got you.
So I didn't really have that much put into my Social Security. So
I was just wondering if that could have been maybe if he had more money, but he's kind of locked in what he's getting then now.
And still later on, I would just double check that, because even folks who didn't put a lot into Social Security, what we see is when they start earning those delayed retirement credits up until age 70, sometimes at age 70 it's just a little bit more than, and it may not be your circumstance, but maybe somebody else is listening who's drawing widow or widower's benefits. They can draw those benefits, and then at age 70 you want to take a look and see if maybe yours has now surpassed, because you're in those delayed retirement credits, what you're drawing on the widow's benefits.
Right. Hopefully I make it to 70.
I hope so, sir. I hope so.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful to answer.
Good. Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. That's what we're here for. Do you want to take a break or take this another call, Rick? Okay, we'll take Brad. Brad, good morning. Hi, Brad.
Hi.
Hey.
I was calling. My wife passed away about 11 months ago. I was calling to know how to go about getting that 255.
Yeah, just give us a call, and or come by. We can set you up another appointment, and basically it's just it's about a 10-minute application to go through and process that one-time lump sum payment of $255, and then we can also talk to you about widower's benefits, what you might be able to draw and when you might be able to draw, and answer any questions on those lines. But just as far as the 255, yeah, they just need to set up an appointment. We just got to do a quick application.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for your call. Before we go to the break, let's just talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, so there is everyone. You die, I die, my wife die, whatever, we die. You can apply for a one-time lump sum $250 death benefit that's been on the books for decades.
Forever,
right?
Yeah.
There was a time maybe that $250. Was it always $250, or did they increase the value?
It's pretty much always been there.
So when they first started, it probably was enough to cover some of the funeral costs. These days, $250 ain't gonna do too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps. It'll pay for just very little, maybe the obituary, but it's like $250 is obviously something. You have a right to that, right? And you get that. Most people, I would venture to guess, don't even know about it, but they find out Because I'm guessing the funeral
Yeah,
homes
funeral
always
usually tell. Yeah.
Because that's $250 off whatever you're paying for the funeral.
Yeah, from what I understand, it was way back when Social Security first started and people were starting to pay in, but they made, life expectancy back then was 62, 64. So, a lot of people didn't even make it to retirement age. So there needed to be some kind of benefit to pay out, based on what they've worked and paid into the system. Yeah. And so, the $255 death payment was kind of one of the original things as kind of part of the package, but it never really adjusted, never changed. It's still there.
It's truly a relic of the past that, frankly, I'm surprised they haven't cut. Anyway, we'll take a break. When we come back, more phone calls, our final segment with Josh Horn right after this.